are very influential people in this county and in this state, including state legislators. It's just so wrong. I mean, how she was treated, but I think it's a bigger problem. It's a microcosm of a bigger problem that we have in the county here with the assessment system.
Well, okay, yeah, with the assessment system, but it's also Ramsey County not being able to control its own budget, so that they have to figure out ways to defraud people. It's that mentality.
Effectively, you're right, Tim. I mean, we've raised, our county commissioners, your county commissioners have raised the budget for next year another $18 million. I mean, I've yet to see a net cut from this body of government, and especially with what's looming from the state, as significant as state funding is to Ramsey County and any county government. We're not seeing it, and we're not seeing this county preparing for this. And I think we're facing a fiscal calamity in Ramsey County of $40 to $70 million. And we've got several simple choices if we end up having that circumstance that somewhat is out of our control due to the state budget situation. We're either going to have to make up that difference through additional taxing, which I don't know how we're going to do that, and create additional economic blight.
That won't work.
Or we're going to have to dramatically cut services and county jobs, which are actually the very unions who are backing the DFL candidates, who predominantly are made up of the Board of Commissioners and the leadership of this county. Or we're going to have to cut services or some combination of all. And I think this is the interesting thing that we all have to look at about Ramsey County and government. Rafael Ortega has been an utter failure, and he goes around talking about creating jobs. The only jobs Rafael Ortega is creating are government jobs, and they're short-term construction jobs for 2 or 3 years. And we're paying a heavy price in bonding for it. We're going to be bonding ourselves into decades ahead for it.
I just hate it when I hear people saying the government needs to create jobs and we're going to create jobs as a government. That's so backwards.
It's very backwards.
It's the people that create jobs through the government for protecting individual liberties.
That's correct.
And that's the #1 goal, but this is now about creating jobs to hand out jobs to your friends rather than letting the free choice of people decide that themselves.
Well, exactly. I mean, look at the very organizations, Tim, who are endorsing Rafael Ortega. I mean, he's got 10, 12 labor unions. And if you look at the job fairs that are getting ready to take place or have just started for the Central Corridor Light Rail Project, we're going to spend $1.2 billion on between Union Depot and Central Corridor Light Rail. They're all the labor unions who are getting all this work and are promoting people to join the labor unions. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out who we're greasing here in the process with the status quo leadership. And we've got to stop doing it because we're getting ready to bond. Oh, and by the way, what's going to happen in this election federally if what we think we know is going to happen with conservatives and Republicans taking control of the House and or Senate again? Is Minnesota going to get this funding for this Central Corridor? Because I guarantee you it's probably going to go under a lot more scrutiny than it has in the past when we've had federal, state, local, and White House leadership under the Democrats, which is clearly going to come to a halt in about 2 weeks.
So get back, you were talking about what the changes in the assessor's department and what we need to do with the taxes. Well, those are 2 separate questions, but what we need to do with the tax structure and revenue structure, what kind of changes do you see need to be made there?
Well, I think we have to have a much more pro-business environment. I mean, Ramsey County has lost population and business the last decade at the expense of Washington County and Dakota County, who've done a phenomenal job fiscally managing the government in their counties and also drawing businesses into those counties. So we have to have a pro-business environment because really, Tim, the only way we're going to solve our problems quite frankly, we're going to have to enhance and increase our tax base. We can't keep burdening the existing declining tax base to solve our problems, or we get to the point of elasticity where people don't want to live here in Ramsey County anymore. And we've quite frankly already had that situation as the census numbers show over the decade. But then we also have businesses that don't want to be here. It's easier just to move over the county or quite frankly to move over to a different state. I don't know if you've been hearing, but I'm listening to the radio and hearing ads being run by South Dakota and North Dakota openly on local Minnesota radio stations to move your business there. It's much more tax favorable.
Well, and I have friends, because of government harassment and whatever, they want to get out of here. And it's it's just the government's just taking over too much of our life, and the natural inclination is to flee. And of course, that's what our government was founded on, the ability for these experiments in other states and other places. You don't like it here, you can move someplace else. If you want less rights, live in Minnesota. If you want more rights, go to South Dakota. And that's a viable option for people. But we got a phone call, so let's hear phone caller. Caller, do you have a comment or a question?
Tim, good show. I think this gentleman is running is going to be a good county commissioner. And you're right, the county board, Tony Baloney, the county commissioner up there from the Shoreview area, all the way down should be changed. There should be a revolution of people, maybe some straight thinkers. Hey, I was turning on the county commissioner. They have a little bit, generally about a half-hour meeting per week on the cable TV. I think they must do most of their stuff behind closed doors and workshops, just on an informal level between each other in the hallways. But they said they're hiring some new person, a new county manager. So there'll be county manager 1 and county manager 2. And they're just doing it now. It seems like this is an odd time when the economy is so tough and government's claiming they need more stimulus package than hiring another top of the chain of command person. Do you know anything about that? Where's that going?
Okay.
I do. Actually, excellent comment, caller. Ms. Kleinschmidt, the county, she reports to the county board as more or less handling the finances and the financial management of the county board's functions. Julie Kleinschmidt has hired, I heard the same thing, $100,000 plus a year deputy county manager, I believe is the title, or assistant county manager. Depending on who you talk to, I hear there has been some real disorganization and dysfunction amongst the payables and receivables at the Ramsey County level with some of their systems, and this may have something to do with this. I have heard that it has been improved somewhat, but I think we have serious questions that need to be addressed in this election, and if I can get on this board, I can really be an advocate for everybody, not just in my district. We have questions with the Sheriff's Department coming back with a $44 million budget and repeatedly asking this County Board of Commissioners for additional funding. Nobody is auditing or doing an audit trail on where this money is going to Bob Fletcher and the Sheriff's Department. I hold the county commissioners as equally accountable for that as Bob Fletcher asking for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a situation I'd like to see a lot of facts and information on, because quite frankly, why has the DART PAC and why have a group of deputies in Ramsey County been formed who are clearly unhappy with the current sheriff? Because when you sit down and talk with these folks, they say, look, this money's not going to what it was intended to. If you look back historically, Bob Fletcher sued the county board under the public safety provision when he didn't get all the money that he wanted. And public safety does have somewhat of an exemption relevant to that. So, as a needed public service. So, I think we've got part of what I'm running on is we're going to go in and do a full-scale audit of all the agencies. We've got vehicles leaving this county from Ramsey County employees that 30 to 40% that work for Ramsey County do not live in this county. Should you and I be paying the gas, wear and tear, and maintenance of those vehicles to leave for these folks that work for Ramsey County to drive an extra 50 miles or 100 miles round trip every day? Think of what that's costing us times hundreds of vehicles.
And what do they care about Ramsey County?
Well, they're taking their. I mean, I'm not down on the employees.
Yeah.
It's the system we have.
Right.
It's unaccountable, and our Board of Commissioners is unaccountable to this issue because we have to have some reasonable measures. If you live in the county, then you take a vehicle home. If you don't live in the county, maybe you don't take a vehicle home. But it's costing us a lot of money.
Well,
do this.
But that is one of the important reasons to elect, what do you want to call it, new blood, but you don't want just new blood. You want people who are going to open up the system so people know actually what's going on, and that it gets out there and gets exposed, and transparency.
Isn't that what Obama preached to us all, transparency of government?
Yeah, but what does that mean? That means you hide more, Yeah,
I mean, we've got, we're not creating jobs.